Welcome to Quick Course Digest. All right, today we are diving into a huge question, one that people have wrestled with forever. How do we figure out what the right thing to do actually is?
So, to get us started, we're going to jump right in with a classic ethical dilemma. It's a tough one. Seriously, take a moment and think about this. It's heavy, for sure. But your gut reaction here, it's going to tell you a lot about the moral framework you're probably already using, maybe without even knowing it.
Okay, so how do we even begin to untangle this? Well, let's try looking at it through our first lens. This one is all about the consequences. It's focused entirely on the outcome, getting the best possible result, the best final score. This way of thinking is called utilitarianism, and its main idea is actually pretty simple. The best, most moral action is whatever creates the most good, or happiness, for the greatest number of people. It's like you're weighing the pros and cons, the good and the bad, and you just pick the option that tips the scales toward the most overall good for everyone involved.
But, it's not quite that simple. Utilitarianism actually comes in a couple of different flavors. First, you've got act utilitarianism. This one is super flexible. It looks at every single situation fresh and asks, what action right here, right now, will create the most good? Then there's rule utilitarianism, which takes a step back. It thinks bigger. It says we should follow general rules, like, say, doctors shouldn't harm people, because if everyone followed that rule all the time, society as a whole would be better off.
So, back to our doctor. What does this lens tell them to do? Well, if you're a strict utilitarian, the math is, it's pretty simple, and honestly a little bit chilling. Saving 5 lives for the price of 1, that's a net gain of 4 lives. The consequence seems clear, right? Even if it gives you that horrible feeling in the pit of your stomach. And that feeling, that this is just wrong feeling, that points directly to the big weaknesses of this whole approach. I mean, sure, it sounds logical and impartial, but it can lead you to justify things that feel totally unjust, like trampling on individual rights for the good of the group. And beyond that, there's a huge practical problem. Can we really predict every single consequence of our actions? I mean, that's asking a lot, maybe even the impossible. All right, let's do a complete 180. We're going to switch to our second lens now. And this one says, forget the consequences. They don't matter at all. What does matter are our duties and the moral rules we're supposed to follow, no matter what. This approach is called deontology, which literally means the study of duty. And from this perspective, the ends absolutely do not justify the means. Some actions, like killing an innocent person, are just plain wrong. They're off limits, period. Even if you think some greater good might come out of it. The morality is baked into the act itself, not the result. The philosopher Immanuel Kant came up with the ultimate test for this kind of thinking. He called it the categorical imperative. Think of it like this. It's a moral law that has to apply to everyone, everywhere, with 0 exceptions. It asks this really powerful question. Could the rule I'm about to follow become a rule for the entire world?
And here's how you use it. First, you figure out your maxim. That's just a fancy word for the principle behind your action. So for a doctor, the maxim might be, I'll kill 1 healthy person to harvest their organs to save 5 others. Okay. Now, step 2. Imagine a world where all doctors did that. Would anyone ever go to a hospital again? The whole idea of medicine as a healing practice would just completely fall apart. And this brings us to another huge idea in deontology, which Kant put perfectly. He said that because we're rational beings, we have this inherent value. We're not just objects or tools to be used. So you can never, ever treat another person just as a means to an end, even if that end is a good thing, like saving 5 lives. So for a deontologist, the answer to our dilemma is absolute. Sacrificing that healthy person is morally forbidden. End of story. It breaks a universal rule, and it treats a human being like a thing, which is the ultimate moral no-no.
Okay, let's check out our third and final lens. This one is totally different. It tosses out the rule books and the calculators and instead asks a much more personal question. You see, this lens shifts the focus away from the action and onto you, the person who has to make the choice. So the question isn't what's the right move in this one situation. It's what does this choice say about the person I am and the person I'm trying to become? This is called virtue ethics. The whole point here isn't about checking off boxes on a moral to-do list or calculating outcomes. It's about becoming a good person by developing positive character traits, what we call virtues. It's really a lifelong project of building your moral character.
Living a virtuous life means you're always trying to embody traits like courage, honesty, and compassion, while steering clear of vices like greed or cowardice. And these aren't just one-time things. They become a core part of who you are, right? A truly courageous person doesn't just do one brave thing. They act bravely because that's just their character.
So, someone thinking this way doesn't have a simple formula for our doctor. They'd look at the dilemma and ask, what virtues are in play here? What would a compassionate, just, humane doctor do? Would harvesting organs from a healthy person reflect the character of a truly virtuous professional? See, the action gets judged based on the character it reveals, not just the outcome it produces.
So there we have it. We've looked at our problem through 3 totally different lenses. One focusing on consequences, one on rules, and one on character. Now, let's pull it all together.
This chart just lays out the core differences so clearly. You can really see how each theory starts from a completely different place. Utilitarianism is all about the results. Deontology is all about the rules and our duties. And virtue ethics, it's all about the character of the person making the call.
And I think the big takeaway here is that there's no single correct lens that magically solves every problem. Think of them as powerful tools. They're like different pairs of glasses that let us see a complicated problem from multiple angles, and each one highlights different moral details we might have missed otherwise.
So the next time you're facing a tough choice, whether it's big or small, try thinking about these lenses. Are you mostly worried about getting the best outcome? Are you trying to stick to a rule you believe everyone should follow? Or are you asking yourself, what would a good person do here? Thinking about which of these you naturally lean towards can tell you an awful lot about your own moral compass.